Hey there. Yeah, let's talk about your diabetes. I want to encourage you and we'll do a checkup. Absolutely. But first things first, I am a real physician and you can see my license in the description below. But we need to burn this wretched thing and everything that it represents. Inequalities and elitism. All of the things that make doctors suck. Also, this thing carries germs. Much better. Magic, as always. Alright, let's get started. So, tell me about how you've been managing your diabetes lately. And while I listen, let me put on some hand sanitizer, because I'm going to be touching you and I don't want to, Of course. So, because you and I are in this secret place, and we are not with the other, your physician and so forth, and we're here in this secret place because of that. Well, and nothing I say here can be official medical advice for diagnosis or treatment of any disease, because you need your own individualized care, depending on what, you need, right? What you need. Yep. But that said, I hope to give you some good, at least encouragement, medical education, right? Nobody knows as much about diabetes as someone who has it, right? Absolutely. Now, can you remind me again, do you have type 1 or type 2? So type 1 is the kind where your pancreas, yeah, absolutely. Let me check the vitals that the medic put in for you. Absolutely. Not a problem. Let's see. It looks like... Yeah, it looks like I have your vitals here. I have your weight and everything. Is that what you've been a little worried about? Okay. Okay. So, yeah, we'll talk about weight management. But yeah, type 1 or type 2. So type 1 is the kind where, so people have called it juvenile. That's not necessarily true. Type 1, the main problem is your pancreas. Your pancreas has decided, for whatever reason, that it doesn't want to make insulin anymore. And so it doesn't. No more insulin. And you need insulin, right? Yeah. So insulin is the thing that helps you process glucose. Glucose is the natural breakdown product of any food. And what happens is all of your food gets broken down into glucose at the most basic form. It's stored in fat. It's stored in plants and starches. And there are other kinds of vitamins and so forth in food that are necessary to help you metabolize your building blocks and so forth. But glucose is basically the essential building block of a cellular respiration that is used to then create energy. What I mean by energy is ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Adenosine, yeah, that's exactly it. I know. I always worry that I'm saying these things wrong because it's been a while since I was in medical school and had biochemistry. It's been many, many, many years. But ATP is what your body, that's energy. All living beings need ATP for energy, right? That is the actual energy that gets the stuff done, keeps your cells alive. Your cells use ATP so that they can move electrons all along your things and fuel the way different things move, and like within the cell itself, right? That's at the cellular level. But at the body level, glucose is the thing that your cells use for energy so that they can make their ATP and do their little stuff. And your body can't absorb glucose properly without insulin. So after you eat, usually your pancreas puts out a spike of insulin that then lets your body able to absorb the glucose the way it should, right? Otherwise, the glucose floats all around your body and there's too much of it, and it can cause damage to the small vessels in your brain, damage to the small vessels in your kidney, damage to the small vessels in especially any external genitalia like your penis, if you have one of those. Do you have one of those? Exactly. And then damage to the small vessels in your fingers and toes and eyes and so forth. And that's the problem with diabetes. That's why people start losing their toes and then losing their limbs and then going blind and then eventually dying. The heart complications are because of how too much glucose can mess your heart up and stuff like that. What happens is your small vessels become glycosylated, which means that glucose starts to stick to stuff it shouldn't. Sugar is sticky, right? And it clogs stuff up. And if your heart gets clogged up, that's what we call a heart attack, right? I touched my ear, so now I'm going to have to sanitize again, because I don't want to touch my ear and then touch you, right? So that's the issue, right? That's the problem that we have with oh, would you like some? Yeah, absolutely. Here, you can have some. It makes a pretty nice sound. You like that sound? But yeah, you can definitely have some. Sure. Absolutely not a problem. Yeah, do you do like me? You like to hear the sound a little bit? You can hear the sound near your ears. It smells good too. This is one my husband got me. Got eucalyptus. Everyone says eucalyptus is for stress relief, but I haven't looked at the studies for that yet. I will get back to you about that at some point. But so here's the deal, right? Here's the deal with glucose, right? If your heart small vessels get clogged, and not the big vessels coming out of your heart to pump to your body, the small ones that your heart uses to feed itself, right? If those get clogged, you have a heart attack, right? If your, distal limbs, your fingers and toes and stuff, and other little pointed out things of your body, if they start to have their blood vessels clogged, then there's no more blood and nutrients and stuff that gets to them. And so then they die, and bacteria just starts to eat them and eat them and eat them. And so I've seen people have to get their foot amputated, their leg amputated, and the people go blind. So that's what's going on in diabetes. That's why people say, like, you need to be consistent with your medication. You need to be consistent with what you eat, because over time those things happen. And the problem is that because it can be a slow disease, some people have the really big crashes and burns and they know they're going to die, and so they take care of themselves. But sometimes you don't know. In fact, probably one of the first people who ever stopped me and told me I saved their life was somebody that all I did was during one of their terrible crashes, I sat down with them, I was real with them about, like, what they needed to do to not be in this anymore and not have this ever happen again so they don't die. I didn't think that was particularly special or heroic. They stopped me later and they were like, hey, it's you saved my life. And it's like, what? Crazy stuff. But I tell you that story not because I'm so great, but to tell you that, like, you may not know that you're headed in a terrible direction until a bad thing happens, like a coma or something like that, where your brain can't handle it anymore. But yeah, stuff can happen. So that's why I asked type 1 versus type 2. Because you're treated differently. Type 1, your pancreas isn't making insulin, right? Something is wrong with your pancreas. And a lot of times that starts when you're a kiddo. So those folks end up being real skinny. And other times it's, it can happen. You can have adult onset type 1 diabetes as well. Type 2 diabetes, your body has started ignoring insulin. So the little insulin receptors on your cells have decided, I don't care. I'm not going to obey the insulin. I'm going to do what I want. And that's not good. That's called insulin resistance. That's type 2 diabetes. And so the pancreas is working, and so those folks don't need insulin. And that's, again, why I asked, because it's very important to know, do you need insulin or not? Now, type 2 diabetes eventually can become so insulin resistant that the pancreas gives up. The pancreas is like, no one's listening to me anyway. Why am I even making insulin? I'm just gonna not. And then the pancreas, basically starts to die. And then they might need insulin, right? So there's all kinds of different stuff that goes on. And insulin, of course, is very complicated. Depending on the insulin you have, which is why I'm not going to today go into insulin calculations. We're going to talk a little bit, do our exam. Insulin calculations are so advanced. I touched my hair again. Need more hand sanitizer. Maybe I just like the smell. Maybe I'm just going to continue hand sanitizing. Anyway, those are pretty complicated. I used to have all kinds of different rules for insulin when I was doing hospital medicine for the severe start. I used to have all kinds of that stuff memorized. But I didn't do a lot of that when I was doing soldier medicine. Didn't have too many diabetic soldiers who were on that, who were that severe. But metformin is a good place that we usually start. And we'll talk about all these kind of treatments and things later, for like if we don't do insulin. But if you want, let me know below in my comment box in the office if you would like to talk about the very complex calculations for insulin. I mean, it might put you right to sleep. But today we're going to talk about like the general things for your diabetic health. So yeah, type 1 or type 2. I know that was the longest explanation ever. We're 8 minutes in and haven't examined you yet. Let's examine you. Real quick, have you been having any, and let me write this down. I'm going to go ahead and write it down. I need my pen. I don't have my pen. That's okay, I'll write it down here. There we go. So I need you to tell me, exactly. Have you been having a lot of headaches lately? Changes in your vision? Okay. Blurred vision especially? Any kind of chest pain? Okay. Any sudden losses of consciousness? Any chest pain that gets worse when you're getting up and moving? Like if you sit down, it feels better. If you get up and walk, it's worse. Okay. Alright, good to know. And then how about, nausea and so forth? You having any regular nausea? Are you having any crashes, like low blood sugar crashes? Like right after, like right before eating and things like that, or during the day? Okay. Okay. And then have you noticed any, like erectile dysfunction, anything like that? And then are you inspecting your feet regularly? Okay. Shoot, you know what? I actually had a pamphlet for you. What I'll do is I'll scan that in and leave it below. Yeah, exactly. Any new wounds, ulcers, anything like that on your feet? Any loss of sensation in anything? Okay. Well, let's do our examination. We're going to go from top to bottom, so I'd like to look at your eyes. Yeah, absolutely. I had things organized the way I did. Alright, let's look at your eyes. Let us take a look. There we go. Yes, this was expensive, but I think it's so much better, the Panoptic, because it works in low light. Yeah, so I prefer it. I vastly prefer it. Let me come a little closer to you, if that's okay. That's okay with you. I'm just gonna put a hand on your shoulder right here, okay? It's super hard to get close to you. There's a bunch of things in the way with the way this chair. Okay. Alright. And the other eye. So what I'm looking for is cotton wool spots. Little white damage spots And it appears you are the last one. Nobody else gets to use this light ever again. I got this special one because I do jungle healthcare that plugs in. So it's got batteries down here, but they're rechargeable. So there we go. So we'll just plug this back in and let it charge over there. Just let it charge. Let it charge. Let it charge. Look, I told you I'm not like other physicians. You know this. I'm a little bit different. Try to be a little freer with my secrets. Alright. Your eyes look good. You should get them checked at least once a year. I say at least, like once a year is good. Once a year is good, but that's a good thing to do for your diabetes. Right. Okay. Next, let's check out your cardiovascular system. So first, actually, I'm going to listen to your neck. I want to hear the bruit. I want to hear in your neck what's going on. So I'm going to use the bell. Okay. Alrighty. And then over on this side. Alrighty. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and listen to your heart. I'm going to use the diaphragm of the stethoscope for that. Bruits and other sounds like that are better picked up with the bell. But heart, murmurs and things like that, those softer in-between sounds that aren't so hard, best picked up with the stethoscope. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on your chest. Good. And then over here, we listen in 4 spots, right? So we listen to the aortic, the pulmonary, the sternal, left lower sternal border. And then over here on this side, I want to listen to your mitral valve a little bit. I do. Yeah. So the mitral valve is right under the breast, or you can hear it on the side, especially if you lay down left lateral decubitus. Yeah. We did a video with a full heart exam for, like more extended things. But this is good for now. What I would like to do, though, it sounds good. Don't hear murmurs and so forth. I'd like to feel your radial pulse right here, okay? That's the pulse right here. Yeah. Okay. Good. I'd also, to check your vascularity, I want to, so your radius and your ulna both supply blood in here, and what I want to do is I want to block them off one at a time and look at your blood flow. Make sure that you have good blood flow on both sides. That's a trick I learned from a vascular surgeon. I'm just going to compress on the radial, compress on the ulnar, release, do it one at a time, right? I just want to see that there's good ulnar blood flow as well. Like if I press on the radial, you should still have. Exactly. Right. So I'm going to push on your hand here, push on the radial artery. Okay, and then I'm going to push over here on the ulnar artery. And look. I'm going to release the ulnar artery. Radial artery. Other side here. I'm going to push on the radial artery. And release. And I'm going to push on the radial and the ulnar. I'm going to release the ulnar. Yeah. Okay. That's good. And then I think I'd like to do a slight neurological exam. Just real slight. Just because the way sugar can damage your nerves. So go ahead and follow my fingers with your eyes. Perfect. And then here in the periphery, the edges of your vision, you tell me when you can see my fingers. Okay. Alrighty. Can you stick out your tongue and move it from side to side? And then can you feel this equally on both sides? Okay. We're going to do a little more of a sensory test. I'm going to have you cover your eyes. I'm going to poke you at different places, and I'd like you to point to where I'm poking. Exactly. Okay. Here. Okay, over here. Good. Over here. And over here. Okay. Okay. I'm going to do what's called a filament test on your feet. So if you can take your shoes off. Yeah, that's perfect. With the filament test, we have a very thin, like, hair-like little like stick. And I want to just make sure that you can sense and feel that touching your foot. Yeah, exactly. So same thing. So we'll get to your feet in a second. You're going to do a little more of the rest of the neuro exam. And then we'll get to your feet, which you're going to need a good inspection. Yeah, exactly. We're going to do a couple things with your feet. So we've done cranial nerves 3, 4, 6, 5 as well. And then 7 and 8. So if you can go ahead and hear here. Yeah, can you hear this on this side? Alright, and on this side, tell me when you can hear it. Okay, go ahead and smile for me. Puff out your cheeks. Wrinkle your forehead. Excellent. Open your mouth and say, Really good, really good. That's great. And then shrug your shoulders for me. Nice. Nice and strong. I'm just pushing down to check cranial nerve 11. Cranial nerve 11 goes all the way down. Yeah. Well, 9 and 10 are the, when you say I'm looking for the roof of your mouth to go up. Your palate and your uvula. Exactly. And then just do this for me real quick. On the other side. And then this. Okay, good. That's grossly normal. Grossly normal. Squeeze my finger. Perfect. Let's spend some time here with your feet. So, I am just going to run this along the edge of your foot, like this, kind of. Okay? So I'm just going to do that down here. I know it tickles a little bit. That's the Babinski. Oh, really? Oh, you're right. Let me put that in the computer then. Let me put that in the computer. Absolutely. It does look from your record. Oh, okay. As a child, you mean? Okay, I see. Alright. Well, no, I mean, your records look good. The records look good. But to what we were doing, the Babinski. In an adult, you don't want to see the fanning. That's what a baby does. Yeah. Exactly. Okay, I understand. But that was when you were a baby, right? Okay. Okay. Alright, other side here. Okay, and I'm just going to tap the back of your heel, right there, your Achilles tendon. Okay, and then the other side. And then now I'm inspecting your feet for any kind of lesions. If you could open between your toes here for me. And over here. To here. Just lift up your toes a little bit. And then point them down. And then over here, lift them up and then point them down. Okay. Well, that's good. That's good. Alright. Well, here's the deal. We'll do the filament test next. And the really important thing is to check for the lesions that you can't see, right? Exactly. I'm just sanitizing this. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just little wounds and things like that, because as people lose their nerve response to their feet, they can have problems. So just check your feet regularly. Alright, so I'm just gonna, you're gonna close your eyes again. I'm gonna trust you. You gotta close your eyes. And then I'm gonna do a little filament test, okay? And I want you to point to where, you feel me touching, okay? And I'm gonna try to get all the major nerve regions of the foot. Okay, so here. Okay. And then here. Don't cheat. You're cheating. Stop it. This isn't like an exam you want to cheat on. Over here. Okay. And then over here. Good. And then back here. Okay. And then here. And under here. Okay. And then over here. And here. And here. Here. And here. Excellent. That's perfect. So that's good. So we've got the major diabetic things, right? Making sure that your heart is good, checking your circulation, checking your feet, checking your eyes. Yep. So you said something about your weight. Let me go ahead and just kind of measure you here. I have my little measuring tape. Just kind of around your waist. I know I already have your height and your weight here, but sometimes waist circumference can be helpful. And then any sleep apnea issues. Okay. I can measure your neck too, just in case. Okay. Alright. Yeah. Yeah. So here's the deal about that. Yes, your weight is a problem, because it means that you've got more of that glucose all stored up and waiting to just burst into your body, and like fat clogs things up and it's a problem, right? However, the fat is not the culprit. The culprit is sugar. Yeah, that's something people don't understand. What you need is more healthy fats in your diet. Look up the Mediterranean diet and the studies on the Mediterranean diet. That's what you need to be trying to follow. And maybe even something a little stricter than that, like you should be removing carbohydrates. For a normal person, the FDA recommends half of the mass of the food. You look at a plate, right? Half of the mass of everything that's on the plate should be plants, like vegetable plants. And by a dietary vegetable, I don't mean like a potato or a tuber. I mean something that came from a leaf, a stalk, something like that. Although carrots, of course, are tubers as well. No starchy tubers like potatoes and stuff. It has to have color. Yams, sweet potatoes have color. Color means that there's a lot of vitamins in there. White means there's a lot of sugar in there. Even sugar cane, the inside of it is like a white. And so you want to avoid that. Like what you want, you want, like not the whites and yellows and browns. Those are human colors. You want like the purples and the reds and the deep greens. That's what you got to be having. And another quarter of the plate, people say to have meats. And then people say for the FDA, for a normal person, a quarter of the plate to be like whole grains and whole wheats and stuff like that. But for diabetes, you want to be stricter than that. You don't want to have whole grains. If you can get any of your carbohydrates all in just good leafy quality, just plants, you're gonna have such a better, you're gonna be so much better off. Don't do it. Don't play the like I can have some carbs game. Like just try to cut them out. It makes such a huge difference. Another thing is that exercise has been found to be equal to metformin in lowering blood sugar, and metformin is the best diabetes medication we have. They keep coming out with new things because people get uncontrolled on metformin, and so then we'll get other things to add to metformin, but pretty much everyone is on metformin because like alone it is superior to the other ones alone. So they put the other ones in mixes with it, or they add them. It's strong. It's very good, and exercise is equal to that. And when I talk about exercise, I'm talking about the American Heart Association recommendations of 150 minutes of cardio a week. And it should be moderate intensity cardio to where it's difficult to talk. You can't really talk while you're doing it. It's like hard to maintain a conversation, but you could. Yeah, exactly. And that's really necessary. That's really what you need. That's what you need, bud. And I know no one wants to talk about those things like diet and exercise. They're not going to solve all your problems, but they can really help. I mean, just that extra blood flow through your body helps to keep those sugars loose from glycosylating and protect you. Makes a big difference in your sex life, makes a big difference in your even your mental health, but like most importantly, helps with that diabetes. Really does. It's so important. So yeah, be careful and like think about it that way. Don't think about it as like, now I caveat that if you're a type 1 diabetic, every now and then you're going to need to have juice, like things that can put glucose into your body very quickly for when you have those dips, like when your insulin is too strong or things aren't regulated right, and you're just not having what you need. So you're going to need your little bit of sugar and so forth. People overdose on insulin a lot, or people take their medication and then forget to eat, or people didn't take their medication and then there's all kinds of, like I said, diabetes medication is very complicated, very complicated. But you know what you're supposed to take. Make sure to write it down. Yeah. And stick to it. And then the best thing you can do to protect yourself from those horrible things, diabetic ketoacidosis, diabetic coma, all these things where you just have too much sugars, and then of course those dips, those hypoglycemic dips, can be deadly as well. So be regular, and then like eat that good stuff. Just get that good stuff in your body that gives you superpowers, right, to fight, and helps to prevent insulin resistance. Chia seeds, there were some studies on them. This was years ago. I helped work on a book project I was a ghostwriter for it, actually. This was before I was a doctor even, on chia seeds. But like Google foods that, or use any other search engine. I'm not promoting a particular brand here, but look up foods that, help to decrease your glycemic index, right? And then use sugar substitutes like stevia. I use stevia. It's just as good as sugar. It can be a little bitter in certain kinds of foods, so then you use monk fruit instead. But like, yeah, avoid too much sweeteners in general. Like, get to know the taste of food as it is, right? And to love life and the way things are as they are. I think that's the biggest advice that I could ever give anybody. And again, this is education above anything. Look for 150 minutes. Make sure your plate is half leafy greens. If you can, decrease your carbs to almost nil. Your breads and things like that. Especially stay away from white breads and things like that. Yeah. I mean, it's serious. But yeah. Well, tell me more about that. What other worries do you have? Yeah. Here's what I want to encourage you on. You're not bad looking. Weight has nothing to do with like if you look bad or good. The reason I care about weight is because I want to make sure that your heart is healthy, especially with the risk of the diabetes. And you got to know about heart health, especially like women and folks with diabetes tend to have unusual presentation of heart attacks, right? They tend to have a sense of doom, but not necessarily have the typical feeling of an elephant sitting on their chest. They might have it more here in the center, and it's possible for a diabetic person to have a heart attack without even feeling the pain because the nerves have become desensitized, right? So you've got to be watching that heart. That's what I care about for weight, because obesity is a significant risk factor. Yeah, exactly. So, you want to, that pain could present differently, but like, so someone with diabetes, you should be pretty willing to go to the hospital fairly quickly if you feel like something is wrong with your heart. If you feel like a sense, just this deep sense of doom and dread, and you're sweating for no reason, and you have nausea for no reason, something's going on with your left arm, and it gets worse when you get up and walk, you should go to the hospital. You should just make sure. You want to err on the side of caution because you may not feel the actual heart attack like you should, so that you want to be careful. Women will often have their heart attack down in here instead of up here. That sense of something sitting on it, or something like boring into the back, just something heavy. And like I said, a big red flag sign is you're sitting and you have it, but when you get up and walk, it gets worse, and you sit down, it gets a little better. That's a red flag sign. So, give yourself, if that happens, grab some aspirin, 325 milligrams, not just the 81. Get up, give yourself enough 81s up to a 325, and then go to the hospital. Yeah, that aspirin helps to protect you. It keeps your blood flowing in that area. It's kind of a blood thinner. Yeah, exactly. So those are the things I would recommend. For weight loss, you want to go above that 150 minutes a week. And again, you want to decrease wheat consumption, other things like that. You want to have lots of, I like to think about like the things you can eat. Like, add a lot of fish, try all different kinds of plants. There's like something like 14 billion, I don't know if it's this high, but like an enormous amount of plant species out there, and a lot of them are edible, and we don't even eat them. We eat, like, average American at least eats like 10 different species of plant, and that's it. So rotate through, try new plants. You never know what's going to be your favorite, right? So you get in that stuff. Try different things, try new foods, like, make it a game, make it enjoyable, because this isn't about making your life miserable so you don't die. You want to have a life that's fun and worth living, so find foods that are enjoyable. Don't, damn yourself. And in the Mediterranean diet, there are plenty of cookbooks for that. It's a really good way to start. Exactly. Mayo Clinic also has some resources on weight loss that you might check out. Exactly. And those will be helpful to you. And again, you are good looking. That's not what it's about. Yeah. We'll talk more about weight loss another day too. But for now, I'm happy with your diabetes check. I'm going to put a pamphlet below for you to do your diabetes check. I want you to know that you matter and you're okay. And the reason that we do these things and we worry about you and we bother you to worry about you is that, we would be at loss without you. Yeah, we want you to take care of yourself and make it an enjoyable thing. Make it like, today I'm going to take my medication, sit and drink some tea, listen to music. Today I'm going to try this vegetable. I'm going to try cooking it this different way. I'm going to have lots of olive oil, a lot of good fats, okay? Olive oil, good meats if you are a carnivore, lots of nuts, lots of fish, give yourself the delicious things that you can have. Don't think about what you can't have. Avoid those pastries and things like that. But with almond flour and other things, you can still have pastries and things. You can have a normal and wonderful life being diabetic. Make it almost like a game, right? Make it like, this is a special thing I do to take care of myself. Because you matter. Don't let it be a thing that gets you down. You're doing your best. Yeah, and so if your best isn't good enough, right, for health, that's okay. You just step it up and try again. You just keep trying. You do your best to make sure that that's not going to be the thing that takes you out. You're in a little bit of a fight. But we're all in some kind of fight. And it's worth fighting because we want you to be around so you can help other people. And, you are a delight to have on the planet. Yeah. I want you to be encouraged. I want you to know that, honestly, you are so special. You matter. It's going to be okay. It absolutely is. Thank you for coming by. I've said before, I don't tell people it's going to be okay. Like my actual patients in the moment. Because you don't want to make promises you can't keep. But on another sense, everything is going to be okay, right? In another sense, there is a I don't know, maybe a philosophical on you about like divine purpose and plans over all things. And the main thing is the fight. We don't need to worry as much about the destination as about the fight, the journey where we are, and enjoy the fight. It's an honor to be able to join in it with you. Thank you. Absolutely, yeah, you can crash here. Yeah, go ahead. Right over there. Sleep well.